afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Friday, July 8th, 2022. The weekend is here. Last show till wheels up tomorrow morning, leaving Logan Airport at 6:30 a.m. Touchdown in Vegas. Used to be McCarran. I think it's a different name now. 9:45 Vegas time. God willing, will be picked up by the mayor of Vegas, the real Vegas Dave himself, Dave Sharpin. Going to be doing some World Series of Poker content. Got some friends and colleagues in the main event, still alive, thank God. NBA, Summer League potentially. Our buddy Julian Edlow of DraftKings will be out there on Sunday working with VSiN. Catch up with Matt Peralta and a bunch of others. So busy week ahead. Can't wait. 110 degrees out there, so I'll be ready for that. Anyone that watched our show last night, God bless you guys. And there was a lot of you too, by the way. Gifted with not one but two Devers homers. Nice, my prop play of the day. Got creative. On DraftKings now had Rockies team total over 2.5 first five. That got to 3. Talked about the Cincinnati Reds. We were waiting for the lines to come out. Me and Riley. Team total over 4.5. They got to 5. The ECSI VIPs. I didn't wait as long. I wasn't as creative, obviously, and it's tough to give out a play when not a lot of people can obviously get all the props and everything. So I'm trying to lean DraftKings. A lot of people can get there, but we had the Angels, who the night before we were gifted with the team total over. A lot of late money coming in on them. First inning, leave first and third. Second inning, leave the bases loaded. Third inning, leave a guy on third. And basically, thanks for playing with a 4-1 loss. But we're up almost 2 units for the week. We got Fade the Public Friday. And we got our anchor, my partner in crime from the Palm Tree State himself, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Afternoon, Scotty.
Jeffrey, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing. How about yourself?
Hey, it's been a rough week, but that's the way life is, right? You get your ups, you get your downs, you bust up your knee, whatever happens. And that's just the way it is. You just got to be a man and be tough and be like, what the hell ever. Just shake it off and move on. So pay it no mind.
We're to the dog days of summer. We got let me see. Today's the 8th. The All-Star game's on the 19th. That's a Tuesday. The Home Run Derby on the 18th. Will be dark on the 20th. And then, well, dark is in baseball, but there's plenty of stuff to talk about and pick through. Outside looking in, as you've been talking about baseball, hot, cold, hot. It's streaks. It's a 162-game marathon. We can't beat it over the heads of everyone. Every time I release something, there's a reason why I can't play it, and they know who I'm talking about. You just find reasons not to play. And listen, again, I tell everyone, go bet the Yankees every day. Go bet the Dodgers every day. Go bet the Mets every day. And at the end of the year, check your bankroll. You're even. You're up 2 units. You're down 2 units. I mean, it's not that easy. That's why there's billion-dollar casinos.
Yeah, it's that's the beauty of Major League Baseball wagering like we do. Meaning that you're in it every day, all the time, looking at all the numbers and doing everything. So that word comes up a lot. Value, right? That word comes up all the time. And in Major League Baseball, you got to try to figure out what value is, and where does it come from, and what does it mean to you? Because it's a certainly different leverage point for me in baseball than it probably is in football. I think there's a lot of different value that you can put towards things. But that all being said, The beauty of a Major League Baseball season that's 162 games, it all irons itself out, and the best of the best are there at the end. That's the way it is. That's what it's designed for, and that's why it's so hard. It's so hard for these teams. I saw something on I don't know, social media somewhere. And it was just one of these guys doing something out there just to get reaction from somebody. But the question was, if you could be given $10 million and you could run your favorite sports franchise as a general manager, and you had 4 years to win a championship when they gave you that money, and then if you didn't win, you had to give back all the money, but then you had to spend a year in jail. That was the question. Would you take the $10 million? And my answer to that question, and I didn't put it in there or whatever, is that most people in these lanes and most people that are fan bases think that those GMs and those guys in front offices don't do anything, and that they don't have a lot of responsibility or ownerships or any of that kind of stuff. You just try that once. You go get your $10 million and you go compete with the other 29 Major League Baseball GMs or the 31 other NFL GMs. And those are the only jobs like that in the world. And they're the best of the best in those businesses, in those lanes. And you compete with those guys, and your penance is you're going to spend a year in jail. I wouldn't take that for a heartbeat, because I know how hard it is. It's not the easiest thing in the world. And these guys make great moves and they make bad moves. And I think that what I'm looking at in Major League Baseball right now are teams on the fringe, right? You've got the Chicago White Sox, who are a team that as of today, they are plus 170 if you want to bet them to win the division. And I still don't think that's an outlandish thing to say, because they can. But that being said, they better get off their ass, because they're fading in the wild card. The Seattle Mariners are a team that just bumped up, ran right past them. So you got teams that are going on spurts. Here you got the Seattle pushing out there right now. White Sox falling back. The Cleveland teams falling back. But I will say, I think that the White Sox, they got Jimenez back now, and they got their lineup back now. They need to get their pitchers figured out. Giolito's probably having the worst season he's had in a couple seasons, so they got to get him going. And if they can get, Giolito and Cease and Lance Lynn out there, every those three guys just pumping out and wins, watch out for this team, because they're going to run.
It's funny. You talked about the 4-year window. Dave Dombrowski was given a 5-year window. Do whatever it takes to win a championship. And he did. He won a championship. He blew the AAA, AA, single A prospects. They had 0 left. He had expired contracts that we're still paying for, but he did what they asked him to do. Epstein came in. He broke the curse. He won a championship. He went to Chicago, given a 5-year window. He won another championship over there. He broke 2 curses. He's now no longer with it. It can be done. Is it possible? Most likely it's not. We're sitting here in Boston in the same spot we were last year. Make the dance. Well, we made the dance last year. We won the play-in game against the Yankees. We beat you. We beat the Rays. We made it to the 6th game of the championship against the Astros. We're in the same boat. We're playing the Yankees right now. We're trailing them by 15 goddamn games. Yet we still don't have a first baseman. Rizzo's still laughing because he thought he'd be in Boston. We got a front-end staff now. Seabold pitching today. Guess who's pitching tomorrow? A gentleman called Undecided. Okay? So we're in shambles. And we know Bloom is not going to go to the window at the deadline. He's not giving up the prospects. He's not. So again, we're in a tough spot, and I'm not here to vent, yell, scream, holler, but that's baseball, Scotty.
Yeah, I mean, that's there's just like what you and I talk about with this show all the time. There's more than one way to skin the cat, and there's various different ways and means to look at things. And I don't know, the guy on the radio, the former, what's his name? It's the guy that used to run the Dodgers and the Reds and GM Bowden. So yeah, I like listening to him talk. I think he's a pretty smart guy. And he said, you know what? He said, I'm just going to tell you how it is. He said, the kid pitching today, Castillo, he said, he's really good, but nobody knows how really good he is. He said, because if you were to give him to the Dodgers, he's going to go to another level. He's going to be a better pitcher because they got a better staff. They got better coaches. They got better information. They got better everything. And he said, that's the way it is. He said, that's the way it is with everything. There's a reason why the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox and some of these teams, the Rays and some of these teams that, even you include the Giants in there a little bit, that are always there. It's because they develop people, they develop talent, and they use information and cutting edge knowledge. And he said, those teams are the teams that win, and they win on a regular basis because they develop players and they bring them up. And then all of a sudden they fill in the roles that you didn't think they could fill in. And then other teams can't. And that's because they don't do it the same way, and they don't have the same formats and same philosophies. And he said, anytime I want an answer, I don't go to, certain teams. I go to the good teams, and I get my answers from the good teams because the good teams tell me the answers, and they're the right answers. I don't want the wrong answers. I want the good answers. So he made some pretty strong points about baseball, and sometimes when you really think about why there's a lot of teams that don't really transition away from winning, it's because they're not going to. They're born and bred that way, and their mechanics of how they think and operate are much different than other teams, and the data points and all the different things that they do that make them much better than other teams. And maybe that's why some of these teams are always also rants. You can sit here and say all you want to about the Pirates, for example, and I'm not winning and not winning and not winning and not winning and not winning. But payroll wise, they're not much different than the Rays, and the Rays sit here and win all the time. So the differences are in organizations and structures, and you got it. I don't think enough people put that into consideration when you start to think about baseball betting, because one of the things we talked about the other day when I was on was defense and how many runs teams give up because they can't catch the ball, or they can't go get the ball, or they don't have the range to get there. And that matters over the course of 162 games. It may not matter in the one game you bet on that day, but it does matter in the course of a season.
Well, we're going to get to the menu now. We got a bunch of people watching and listening, and I'm just going to say this: we've been pretty successful on some under overs of late and team totals. I've been able to grab a lot of plus money on overs on team totals. I looked yesterday, and the numbers it was travel day. So if you looked and bet every under yesterday, you won every game except the Yankees and the Mets. Okay. I'm looking at the under overs today, Scott, and it looks like the numbers are starting to trend back down. You talked about offenses. You talked about the offense is coming. Now it's the dog days. Is it because we're getting closer to the All-Star break? Is it because of the heat? I know they talked about 2 balls that they were using, yada, yada, yada. But just looking at the under overs today, a lot of 8.5, some 8s, some 7s. Why is it that the numbers seem to be trending down this week?
Well, I will tell you that looking at today's board, you got some good pitchers on the board. You got some of the best pitchers in baseball out there today. So, when you're throwing Wheeler out there and McClanahan and Castillo, and you got Bassett and Lopez and even Cortez for the Yankees and Charlie Moore. I mean, you got guys that can pitch. that are pitching today. You got even the both in that Minnesota Texas game, Gray versus Gray. You got guys that can pitch. So I it doesn't surprise me that you got lowered total numbers today than maybe in some of the other days. But there's also some XFIP numbers, and there's only one Sierra number over 5 today, only one. And usually you're going to have at least 3 or 4 or 5 of those guys. So today's a pretty strong pitching board is the way it looks like to me. And when I started to look at some of the offenses today, there's not that huge separation. Sometimes you go there and you got, well, I shouldn't say not huge. There's 4 teams at the top that have double digits offensive WAR performance over the last 7 days, but then you get down here and you got right at 0 is 16th. So, that's an average team. And, from that number to the bottom number, you got 4 teams in the bottom that are kind of really sagging. So you got 4 teams at the top really good, 4 teams in the bottom really good, and then kind of everybody else bunched together. So you don't have a lot of, I guess, major offensive pressure right now. And the teams that are in the bottom, you would say, okay, yeah, I kind of recognize they'd be in the bottom, sort of. The Angels being in the bottom, I wouldn't necessarily think that a good offensive team like them should be in the bottom, but they are.
The board's yours. Take it away.
Well, so this one I spent a long time with, because I think this isn't the easiest board to play today. And I think that there's a lot of landmines and traps out there. But the first game that goes off today is Tampa Bay and Cincinnati. I think they go at 6:40, and this is McClanahan and Castillo. And the number one thing that I thought here was I didn't understand how that line. Looking at Wager Talk, it says the line opened at -135. Now, whoever could bet it at -135, hats off to you. Because if you could bet it at -135, you should have put a house payment on it. But it's now up to like 170, 180, something like that for Tampa Bay, which makes it a little harder to try to get into. But you gotta figure out how this is going to play out, what you got to look at. So the pitchers are good in this game. McClanahan's been good. His last 7 starts, he's a game score 68. I mean, Jesus Christ, that's almost a 70. I mean, he's just dominating everything. His xFIP today is 2.14 and his Sierra number is 2.19. It's just phenomenal numbers from this kid. But it's not like Castillo's bad. He's got a 3.70 and a 3.74. But when you start to think about it, that's still a 1.5 difference. And on the mound, and that's big. McClanahan 11.65 strikeout rate with a walk rate of 1.32. That's he don't walk anybody, and you're going to have to work your butt off to get on base. I mean, because and his whip rate 0.62. He basically allows a half a guy on base every inning. That's not going to be successful for Cincinnati. And then when you start to look at where Cincinnati is on offense, Jeff, they are, I think, what was the number? They are, whoops, that's the wrong one. There it is. Cincinnati, number 30 in baseball. Number 30. There's only 30 teams, and now they're going to face this guy on the mound. I think that's going to be a rough afternoon for Cincinnati. Now, the one thing that is kind of good, I guess, in a certain way, they've never seen him before, so they can adjust to him a little bit. They can try to figure him out or do whatever, but that's a pitcher's edge when you haven't been seen before. Castillo on the other side, really Tampa Bay hasn't seen much of him either. So again, you got two pretty good dominant pitchers here. Now, the one thing that I liked also is that Cincinnati's bullpen, they're 22nd out of 30 teams. So I don't think I'm going to worry about the Cincinnati bullpen and having to, fight against that. And the Tampa Bay Rays right now are 5th in offense. So you got the number 5 offense against the number 30 offense. You got the number 22 rated bullpen in Cincinnati. And you got one of the best pitchers in baseball, McClanahan, going against Cincinnati. And Cincinnati can't hit left-handed pitching. well, of course, it's kind of hard to say they don't hit any pitching, but I just look at this game and the I'm going to get into it by playing the run line. I'm going to play the Tampa Bay minus the 1.5. And I got the number that I got on that was plus 100. So I don't know if it's still plus 100, but that's what it shouldn't be much different than that. It might be minus 105, it'll be right in that neighborhood. So I feel comfortable there. I think the offensive edge is good. I mean, Wander Franco could just turn out to be the guy that turns that whole game around. You never know. The next game is, and I'm just doing these in order of when they start. So they kind of bounce around a little bit, but this is the Angels in Baltimore, and this is Detmers against Wells. Now, I think people are woke up a little bit to the Baltimore Orioles. The Orioles have won 5 straight games now. And I keep saying this over and over, and I'll say it again. Every team is going to win their streak. Every single one of them. Cincinnati Reds did. They went on a good run. Baltimore's on a good run. Angels are on a terrible run. Now, what's interesting is this Detmers kid is in his last 7 starts, his 7th start was his no-hitter. So it's still back there. It's still in those seven numbers. And that was a big game score. I think it was in the 90s or something like that when you get a no-hitter or something like that. And his game score over his last 7 is a 48, including that no-hitter. And in his last 3 starts, he's a 39. 39. It's not very good. I like Baltimore to win this game. My problem is that I think it's good priced, and I think it's going up. And I wouldn't pay more than minus 130. And Wells is off of a game score 7-1, one of his better starts of the season. But he's a game score 53 year to date, but his last 7's a 59. So he's been pitching ace-like for them. He jumped off the page at me a couple months ago when we picked him against the Red Sox that day, and he did pretty good. He's just a good pitcher, or decent, but the metrics aren't good. I mean, Sierra number for Detmers 4.63, Sierra number for Wells 4.49. That's not a big differential, and it's certainly not big enough for me to sit here and go, "Oh, that's worth the value. Let's go bet on Wells." So I stayed off this game, Jeff. I don't like how the matchup matches out, even though Baltimore's on a winning streak. You got one of the worst bullpens in all of baseball with the Angels right now. I just think the line is probably right to the high side even. So I don't think there's value in the play. So I skipped over that one. That Miami and New York Mets game I thought was an interesting matchup too, because this game I still want to bet on the Mets. But I didn't. And the reason is the line's pretty high. You're going to have to go in on the run line somewhere, or first 5 or something. But you know how I talk about when a pitcher pitches against the last team that they faced, and you kind of look at that and go, "Oh shit, he did really good last time out. He's not going to do as good the next time out." Well, I don't get this one. Bassett's last two starts have been against the Miami Marlins. So this is going to be his 3rd start in a row against the Miami Marlins. So that turns me off right away. Just as okay, I don't know what to do, because he threw a game score 53, which is just a little above average, and then the time before that it was a 63. So he's 63, drops to 53. So okay, is he going to drop a little bit more? Is he going to stick around the 53 type number? I don't know. And Lopez hasn't been the greatest guy in the world in the last 7 starts. His game score in the last 7 starts is a 51.9, so just barely over average. And he does not do very well against the Mets. It's one of his worst teams that he pitches against. So problem is that the Mets aren't exactly going out there and crushing baseballs. So I decided that to get into this game and trying to play the run line on this game, there's not a big enough edge. So I just stayed away, even though the Bassett's numbers are great right now, 2.85 xBIP, 2.96 Sierra. Those are really good numbers against Lopez, 4.11 and 4.34. So you almost got a full run edge there But what are you going to do with it? How are you going to get in it? So I was thinking a first five type thing here. And I just didn't pull the trigger. If you're going to do it, that's the way I would do it. Is a first five on the Mets. But I still think you're going to be at a favorite number there. You're not going to be at a plus number. So I backed off. I don't like what I see in terms of, I don't know what I'm going to get from Bassett. I think I know what I'm going to get, but I don't know that for sure because this is his third straight start against Miami. And then the next one is the Yankees and the Red Sox. And I'll just be honest with you. I didn't spend a lot of time here because I think Seabold's only going to go 3-4 innings at the most. His numbers on the season aren't very good, but his Sierra number is 3.61. That's pretty good. And Cortez is 4.18. So, and then isn't this line moving like crazy on the total? Isn't it going like up and up and up? It's up to 10 now, right? Yeah. So people think they're going to score some runs in this game. And I will tell you this. I don't think these Red Sox Yankees games are even remotely close to what they've been in the past, where the series are tight and they're playing good baseball against each other and that kind of stuff. They've been one-sided either way. One side clobbers the other one, or and they move forward. So I'm not looking for a 98 kind of game here. Now I will tell you, Cortez struggles against the Red Sox. He hasn't pitched very good against the Red Sox. So maybe this is the game that if you were going to take the Red Sox, you might want to try it here. I don't. But now you're going to go and say, okay, well, I'm going to put a bullpen type game together and try to beat the Yankees. So I just think the line's too far out for me to play on the Yankees. I don't like the run line because Cortez can't really shut down the Red Sox. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to get from Seabold. And then I don't know what kind of mixes and matches they're going to try to do in the bullpen. So I think there's a lot of question marks here for me. I think the line going to 10 tells you what the betting public thinks, but I don't know, I don't know. I don't know if that's the right way to think or not, but it's interesting because both pitchers don't really indicate there's a 4 and a 5 type or a 5 and a 5, xFIP Sierra type numbers to drive up those run numbers like that. And, the Yankees and the Red Sox have decent bullpens. So let's see how it goes. The next game I did play, this one I had to really work on. Go ahead.
Don't forget about the Red Sox. Aren't they like 15-4 against lefties?
Yeah, I mean they're good. I mean, all of that's in play here, and that's where I sit here and go, if you're going to take a shot, this is the one. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you want to beat the Yankees, this might be your day. But I like another spot a little bit better for a dog, and I'll tell you about that one in a minute. But this one is Washington, Atlanta. I remember talking about this probably a month ago or whenever they played the last time. And we talked a little bit about how pitchers do against certain teams. And this is Fetty against Morton. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't know what happened to Morton. At the beginning of the season, he woke up and he stubbed his toe and he twisted his ankle and he just stumbled around and wasn't very good. But now he's got, he's got the glass slipper on and he's just out there doing all kinds of amazing things. He's got a 2.10, 2.09 xFIP in Sierra, Jeff. I mean, it's amazing. He's got a strikeout rate of 12.95. 12.95. The guy's like 70 years old. And he's out there just striking people out right and left. And his CSW is 32.4. So that's called strike and swing and miss percentage. It's the highest on the board. Well, second highest on the board, but behind McClanahan. McClanahan's 11.65 strikeout rate. He's beating McClanahan on strikeouts, for God's sakes. And he's playing the Washington Nationals now. Oh, my God. So I think he's going to do pretty well tonight. The problem is he's off a game score 87. Holy shit. That's one of the better performances he's had all season. But, he's off an 87, then a 68 and an 84. But he did have a game score 50 kind of intermixed in there. So I think he's going to pitch pretty good. But I don't want to play the run line because you're still going to have to play a favorite number. So So what I did was tried to look at it and go, well, how's Eric Fetty do against the Braves? And we did this before, and this won't be the first time I've done this. Eric Fetty's worst team that he faces on a regular basis is the Atlanta Braves. He's terrible against the Atlanta Braves. He's got a game score 37 in his last 5 starts against the Atlanta Braves. He's got an xWOBA number of 471, and remember, when you're talking about a predicted WOBA number, 330 is probably going to be about average 325. And this is 471, almost 500. SOPS plus against that team is a 161. That means he's 61% worse against the Atlanta Braves than he is against an average team. That's terrible. And he's off of a game score 57, and his year-to-date numbers are 48, and his last 7's are 45. So he's due for a regression spot, and he's playing against a team that is his worst team that he faces. And then I went a little farther, and I wanted to look at runs that he allows, right? So in his last start against the Braves, he pitched 5 innings, gave up 3 runs. The next time before that was 6 and 4, 4 and 5, 5 and 5, 1 2/3 and 6. There's only one game in here that he's given up less than 3 runs himself, and he's pitched 37 innings, give up 57 hits, 43 runs, and 10 home runs against the Atlanta Braves. So the Atlanta Braves team total is 5.5. That's a big number, 5.5. But holy shit, he's given up more than 5.5. He's given up 5 runs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times out of the 10 times he started against them. He can do that all by himself. And then when you put in the idea that the Washington Nationals bullpen comes into play, I think you want to ride that. I think you want to play that, especially when you consider the fact that the Atlanta Braves are 6th in offense. They're hitting pretty well. They just came off of a complete game loss shutout last night. So I think they're going to hit. I think they're going to rebound. I think this is a good spot. So I'm playing team total Atlanta Braves over 5.5. My number was plus 100. And the last time I checked this, it said minus 105. So it's going to be right around that number. I think that's a good play. So my 2 plays so far are a plus 100 with the Tampa Bay run line, and this one, which is team total Atlanta Braves over 5.5 plus 100.
And I'll interject there. Austin Riley plus 270 on a homer. Listen to some of these numbers, Scotty. Ozuna plus 245. I'm sorry, plus 245. Olsen plus 260. Acuna plus 235.
Look, man, these guys are hitting. You might as well take, and it's in Atlanta. Ball's gonna fly. So I think they could score 6 runs in 5 innings and be all over and be sitting there going, holy shit, let's go have drinks. Or drinks on me, whatever. The next game, this is Minnesota and Texas, and gray and gray. That's kind of weird. But 2 different pitchers altogether here. Sonny Gray, last time out was a game score 41, so you want to be on him, right? And then John Gray, last time out, 42, so you kind of want to be on him. Game score over the last 7 games for Gray, 61.6. That's pretty good. That's what you brought him over there for. But John Gray's a 61.1. Not much difference. I mean, they're just like blam, blam. Game score for the season, 56 for Sonny Gray, 54 for John Gray. There's not much difference here, but the way they go about it is totally different. John Gray's got a 2.71, 2.90 xFIP and SIERA, which is better than what Sonny Gray's numbers are. But if you go back and you look, Minnesota is slightly better right now on offense and slightly better in the bullpen. So slightly better and slightly better doesn't tend to me they need to be a road favorite here. But at the same time that they're a road favorite, I can see why they're the road favorite. And I don't think that there's an edge available to sit here and go and bet against Minnesota Twins. So I just passed on it because I don't think there's enough value on the side of Texas I would love to tell you that Texas is hitting, and you can go there and ride out that Texas, big offense, but they're not. So I'm going to leave that one alone. Savali and Singer. This is Cleveland and Kansas City. Singer is just a much better pitcher than Savali, and Savali's terrible. But somehow Savali survives. I don't know how he survives these games. I don't even know how he does whatever. This is sort of a flip-flop pick-em kind of game, and it should be. The other thing that you sit here and go, Kansas City Royals are actually going to be a favorite over the Cleveland Guardians. Well, they're not very good, but Savali's the worst pitcher that they got. So this is the best pitcher probably going for Kansas City right now. And Keller's probably doing pretty good for him right now too. But I just passed on this one. I don't like the line. I don't like the value. And then that gives me to Detroit and Chicago, and holy crap, I don't know what's going to happen here. You got Skubal, who's been awful for his last 7 starts, and Giolito, who can't find nothing. But Giolito's off a game score 69, which kind of surprised me. I didn't think he was that good his last time. And then when I look back, his next start was a 60. But over his last 3, just even though he's got those 2 in there, his last 3 starts, his game score 48. To tell you how bad he's been. Over his last 7, it's a game score 36.9, and his season's a 46. He's well below average and doing very poorly. But if he wakes up here and his last 2 starts kind of sound like maybe he has a little, I don't see how Detroit can hang in this game, which is why the line is minus 150, 60, whatever it is. I think 170, something like that. And I just think that this is I can't support Skubal because he's been on a 7-game but 7-game terrible streak, and he's absolutely 100% horrible against the White Sox. He's got a game score 41 in his last 5. He pitched against them earlier this year. It was a game score 35. His ex-WOBA number is a 410. That's not very good. Against the White Sox. So the White Sox like it when they see Skubal on the mound, and Skubal isn't the Skubal that we thought he was, especially early in the season. So I'm not going to play the White Sox minus the 1.5. So that's a pass.
Last night Riley was licking his chops. He went to the game. This was a get well spot to get them closer to the All-Star break. This was the series that they were going to get fat and get well.
They lost.
Jimenez returns, everything ready. Anderson owns him, Abreu owns him, and their offense was nowhere to be found. Just looking at some numbers here at DraftKings on that, kind of shocker. First 5 juiced under 2.5 run team total for the White Sox today. Looking at some home run props. 10. Eloy, Baez plus 350. Actually, no, that's on the other side. Excuse me. Abreu plus 310. This I would expect the bounce back spot. It's Friday night. The White Sox, they laid the egg yesterday. You talked about the Braves the same way. I'm going to dig a little deeper after the show here. Again, it's wake up time or get La Russa the hell out of Dodge, because this Titanic is sinking. Now, you can go by the wayside, say, hey, I fired you once, I'm not going to fire you again. Or you got a team and a city that's behind you. Wake the bleep up.
So Jose Abreu is 6 for 13 against Skubal with no home runs. Tim Anderson, 7 for 13. Adam Engel, 3 for 5. Luria Garcia, 2 for 6. Harrison, 2 for 5. Johan Moncada, 2 for 6. Lewis Robert, 1 for 4. Vaughn, he's the lowest one on the board, 2 for 9. They have 68 at bats, 25 hits. Out of those 25 hits, they got 9 doubles, 3 home runs, so 4. They got 12 extra base hits. Batting average 285. OPS is 814. They like it when he's on the mound. I mean, it's just there's no question. Some of these guys haven't had enough real at bats. Jimenez has only been up against him twice. Once was a walk and once was probably sacrifice fly or something. But it's in my mind, it's White Sox or pass, and then you got to figure out how you're going to get in there. So then Brubacher and Ashby. Ashby cost me the other day when I was on him. I think Ashby's a really good pitcher for some reason. He just hasn't done things the way he's supposed to. He's off of a game score 31. Brubaker's off a game score 51. His game score for the season's a 48, so he's just slightly below average pitcher. And for the last 7 is 48, and the last 3 is a 56. So he's actually been pitching a little bit better. Maybe it's over his skis a little bit, but he's actually done pretty well against Milwaukee for whatever reason. These are teams that play each other a lot, and his game score against Milwaukee is a 54. So that's pretty good. That's a little above average. It's not obviously not elite or anything, but that's a pretty good number. Here's where things are. You got to look at this and go, oh shit. Brubaker's last start was against Milwaukee, and his last start against Milwaukee was a game score 51. So it's right at the average number. So you got to figure out, does it go up or does it go down from there? And if I'm looking at it, I can't tell you because that's about what he is. He's an average pitcher. So I don't think he's necessarily going to do great today, but I don't think he's going to do, so bad. But Ashby is a game score 31. And guess what? His last start was against Pittsburgh. He ain't going to throw a 31 today. He's going to go out and throw a pretty good number. So that puts me behind Milwaukee. But then you got to look at the number and go, how am I going to pay minus 200 on this? So I'm not. So I just skip it and move on to the next one. And the next one is a game I am on. This is Philadelphia and St. Louis. So this one was a tough one for me to try to get involved in, but I did a lot of digging. And this is Wheeler for Philadelphia and St. Louis Wainwright. Obviously, Wheeler's the better pitcher. Wheeler's off a game score 76, but guess who he pitched that against? St. Louis. And that was the last time he started. It says a game score 76. Wainwright, last time he started, game score 36. Oh, it is against Philadelphia. So I don't think you're going to get a total role reversal here, but I think you're going to get a role reversal here. You got a 3.03 xFIP number for Wheeler, a 3.10 xFIP number for Wainwright. So those are good numbers. Where the only thing that sort of scares me here is that Wainwright hasn't done real good against Philadelphia in his career. But I do like the idea of several things. The St. Louis Cardinals are a good home team. They're not a poor home team. In fact, at home this season, they are 24-16, 8 games over. And they are only 5 games over for the season. So that means they're under on the road. So they're a really good home team. And the other thing that I liked is that Philadelphia is 30-28 against right-handed pitching. So it's only 2 games above. And the Cardinals are 36-32 against right-handed pitching, 4 games above. But the reason I looked at that was because they don't have a dominant bunch of left-handed guys that are going to get in this lineup tonight. They're going to have a bunch of right-handed guys in there against Wheeler. And I like the idea that that's a little bit of an edge, not a big edge, but a little bit of an edge there. But the way I dug into this a little further, Jeff, is I had to go figure out home and away and looks, because we have 2 pitchers that the splits match up. So Wheeler at home, he's got a WOBA number of 232. 232 is really, really good because remember, 320 is about average in Major League Baseball. So he's really good at home. On the road, that number is 343. 343. So that means he's worse than average on the road. His whip number at home, 0.84. So he's not letting guys get on base at home. On the road, 1.45, almost doubles. So he's at a spot here where, okay, we can expect balls to be in play a little bit more. We can expect guys to be on base a little bit more because he's on the road. And we already said St. Louis is a better home team. And then when I looked at the hard hit rate, his hard hit rate at home, 22.3%, which is low. On the road, 29.8, almost 30%. So they barrel him up. They can see it better. Something different when he's on the road than he is at home. Okay, now you look at Wainwright. When Wainwright's at home, his WOBA number 2.76. On the road, it's 3.44. So he's much better at home than he is on the road. And his whip rate at home, 1.14, and on the road, 1.40. So again, he's much better at home. His hard hit average at home, 25.6. On the road, 32.7, almost 33. So there you go. I think you sit here and you go, okay, I got a home pitcher against a guy who's not as good on the road. I gotta start where last time they faced each other, Wheeler threw a 76. He's not going to do that this time out against the Cardinals. And you got Wainwright, who's got a 36. So he's going to throw a much better start than a 36. So I like the idea here that you can play the Cardinals, and you're going to get a decent number on them. I got plus 115, I think. So I took the Cardinals here plus 115 as my third and last play of the night in terms of plays on that game. So I dug into that one just because I thought that it just seemed to me that you want to play certain people at home and you want to play certain people on the road. And that was one of the ones I matched up here. The next game is Colorado and Arizona. This is Cool against Gallon. And what's interesting here is it's just same thing. Last time they started, it was against each other. You got Cool through a 34, Gallon through a 52. Gallon has a 55 game score for the season and a 46 in his last 7 starts. So he's not been super good, but he's been above average on the year. What people probably don't know is Cool's at a 51 on the season, so not that far away from where Gallon's at, and a 50 for his last 7 starts. So I kind of like the idea that Cool's going to pitch a little better tonight. I don't like the idea that I have to try to figure out which one of these poor teams is going to hit. So I'm not. So I'm just going to leave it alone. And I think Gallon's got a big number again attached to his line today. Your Quiddy and Blackburn. This is a hard one because Blackburn's been the best pitcher that Oakland has really for the season. I think in team win wise, he's much better than Montas has been. That doesn't mean that Montas isn't pitching better. It just means that the matchups have been better for Blackburn. And it's just like tonight. He's facing the worst pitcher that Houston has is your Quiddy. But that all being said, you can't bet against Houston as a team and take Oakland. But I'm not going to try to get in front of a run line here because who knows what you're going to run into with Houston and your Quiddy, how many runs he gives up. Long and Snell for San Francisco and San Diego. I kind of like San Diego tonight, but I can't support them, especially at the number that they're on. And Long is a guy that's a 3-inning opener kind of guy. And then they take him out, and then they get the mix and match. The bullpen's kind of going all the way. Snell has been a far cry of what he's supposed to be. He's a game score 49.7 for the season, so he's right on a below average. But he's in a better spot against San Francisco. I just don't like the line. I don't like the number. And San Diego's the 29th best offense going tonight, so I'm not going to support that. I'm not going to bet that. You can bet the Dodgers all day if you want to, but it's just how do you get in front of it? And Thompson's been pretty good for the Cubs, so I'm going to stay away from there. And then you got Toronto, Stripling, and Kirby, and Kirby's off of one of his best starts. Toronto hasn't been hitting, so I'm just going to stay away from that one. And that's kind of how I see the games tonight, Jeff.
Again, I started the show by talking about the numbers and the under-overs. You broke it down pretty damn well as usual. You put some ideas into my head. Again, second time around, I like to look at the adjusted numbers for team totals versus the under-over, and then you really start to peel the onion back and say, for instance, you got that 8.5. Now, actually, it's 9 juiced over on Atlanta. Okay. You got a team total of 5.5. So basically, if that's the case, they're telling you Atlanta 6-3 or less. You go to St. Louis, it's an under-over, open at 7.5. It's now to 8. Is Wainwright worth the price, or is it 3.5 team total on St. Louis? The Red Sox intrigued the shit out of me today. I don't back Seabolt. I don't. But I know what happens on Friday nights in Boston, especially when the Yanks are in town. I know the Red Sox are 15-4. I think their last 19 against lefties. So if you don't respect Seabolt, but you know offensively the Sox are going to put some run on the board, take a look at the Red Sox team total there. White Sox were all hot and bothered and lathered up to score yesterday to start their beatdown in their run against the Tigers. It was a no-show. Scooble is Scooby-Doo, meaning what he has been the last 7 starts. I expect the White Sox offense to open up there. That was 3. 1, 2, 3. Who did we say? Atlanta, St. Louis, the Red Sox, and the White Sox. Those are the team totals. I talked about some home run props. You can get some great numbers again on DraftKings. I use that. It's kind of the international sports book that everyone's got. And if you can't use them, just take a look at theirs. They got more props than probably 1,000 sports books combined. Some sports books don't even throw out props. I like to use Circa as the universal. But when it comes to props, I got to take my hats off to DraftKings. They do a hell of a job there. But it is an interesting board. Again, it has flipped. Toronto opened up as a favorite. Now Kirby is the favorite. And you talked about Kirby was lights out last time, waiting for that Toronto offense to open up. Cleveland, Kansas City, you don't think of offense when it's those two, but Savali has not been good, and Singer has been the best pitcher for Kansas City of late. Gray versus Gray, that's a hell of a lawyer firm tonight in my eyes. Detmers, our buddy at SoCal DGen, Angels 1-14 the last 15 straight up as road dogs, and the under has come in like 14 out of the last 15 times for Baltimore, coming off of a win at home with a total of 9, and that opened at 9. It's down to 8.5 there. Which Thompson shows up for the Cubs, and the Dodger team is just, I'm not getting in front of them, obviously. Don't know which Snell's going to show up, and Sam Fran has been putrid of late. Gallen's got my number, I'll be honest with you, on him, and he looks like shit. Against them, and he looks like Sny Gallen, so I'm going to stay away from there. But again, I like the bounce back spot about with Ashby you talked about, but we talk about the Pirates being the pesky Pirates. I put them in the Orioles category right now, so I'm going to stay away from there. But and again, Lopez has not been the Lopez of late. He's no Sandy Alcantara, that's for sure. Bassett, as you would say, has been a bulldog. I think Vegas is, in my eyes, begging you to take the Marlins today. And it's a too big of a tax. If you wanted to get in first 5 run line, I could see that. So a very, very big, intriguing board. Everyone that stuck and stayed with us, I can't thank you guys enough. Remember, it's payday today. It's Fade the Public Friday. Don't get caught leaving the pizza on the oven tonight, guys. Don't run to your books, your barbershops, your corner bars, and bet the early games. And next thing you know, it's 10 o'clock and the wife's calling, and you end up with the cold pizza and on the couch. Okay. I take off tomorrow morning at 6:45 from Logan. I land in Vegas at 9:45. I will check in, get to the suite.
Hey, TJ, by the way. Sorry, Jeff.
TJ, your Mets, your Miracle Mets. Get that Subway Series going. I think the Astros will be there, but we'll see what happens there. But my point is, me and Scott are going to try to do, which will be an afternoon show back east, will be a late morning show for us in Vegas. And then I will be live throughout the week. I'll be doing some live spots from the Bellagio, maybe Circa, maybe Westgate, maybe South Point. Wherever Dave takes us, we will be there. And again, shout out to TJ. We love you, brother. So have fun tonight, guys. Have fun. That's the whole key. We got 10 days till the All-Star break, and me and Scotty and a bunch of others will be starting to doing a lot of football. We're not forgetting about baseball. Trust me. We're not forgetting about baseball. We still have CFL with Andrew. We still have the Premier Lacrosse League with Dan. It's an off week. We will get back up with that next Friday. I had Dan and my producer, Kiefer, this afternoon. We got some big stuff brewing for the start of August, which everyone will be glad to see when that happens. So, from myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish everyone a blessed evening. And remember this, if you are wagering tonight, which most of you are, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up that phone. There's an 800 number. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Scotty care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month, through 2022 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB, we wish everyone a blessed evening. I will see you next in Vegas, baby. At least 7 days and 7 nights, maybe more. Who knows? So have a great night, and we will catch you early afternoon East Coast, late morning West Coast Vegas time. See you soon.